Hello, everyone. My name is Sharzad Kiade. Welcome back to Not My Circle. Today, I am talking to a throuple, 3 people in a relationship. Enjoy. So, hi, guys. What did you have for breakfast today?
We actually went out for breakfast today. So we had chicken and waffles and omelets.
So we had a whole bunch of stuff. We ordered four meals just because we wanted to try more stuff. So we brought a lot home.
Awesome.
But yeah, red velvet waffles and stuff was great.
Oh, yum. You guys are in a throuple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it okay to refer to you as, what's the word? Polygamous, polyamorous? What are the words that are okay to refer to your fun lifestyle?
I mean, I guess by definition, all of them apply, but okay. I mean, yeah, I guess the one we use is polyamorous, but yeah, they all technically fit in.
And so for somebody who might not fully understand what that is, what a throuple is, will you explain in your words what your unique relationship is?
Me? Okay. I mean, it's really not any different for the most part. It's literally the same as any other relationship, but there's 3 of us. Like, obviously that sounds like, no, that's pretty different, but no, it's really not. Like, it's in our lives, at least, it's like we almost forget. The only time it really comes up is like if we say we're with our girls, or I'm with my girls, or I'm with my, if they say I'm with my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and then people like usually think they just misspoke, and then we have to explain. But there's really almost nothing different, I would say. I mean,
it's just, I think that's the big thing about polyamory is people either A, will refer straight to the sex because they think it's all about threesomes and stuff, but it's no different than a regular monogamous relationship. Probably a little bit harder because there is a third set of emotions and feelings and stuff like that to deal with. And it's new. So I think everyone has to process it and see like how they feel and what they're okay with and what they're not okay with. Just like any other relationship, you go through the nuances of learning about each other. So it's not much different than, a monogamous relationship.
Okay, I want to talk about that because it seems like it is different, but we'll get into the details. So first of all, let's go back to the beginning. How is this all of your first throuple? Or had you guys been once? So it's your first. Yes. And Stephen, you said you kind of nodded. You've been in other ones before.
Pri and I have been we realized we were polyamorous a couple of years ago, at least. So, I mean, that's how we've been dating. I mean, we've been together for, is it 4? We've been together like 4 years now. And then, I mean, pretty much after the 2nd year, we just started seeing other girls and whatnot. I mean, seeing them more seriously, like relationship wise, we're already having threesomes and whatnot, which is how we developed into polyamory, I guess. We didn't know what it was prior, but we've been dating and living that way for a while. And then as far as our serious relationship, this is our like 2nd long-term polyamorous relationship. And we just passed our 1-year anniversary last week.
Happy anniversary. So okay. So since this is your first, let's talk about what this experience has been like for you. So you meet Pri and Stephen out and you're like, oh, I like them.
I met them at my job for like just a brief moment. And then he kind of came back and brought chocolate. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. And I never talked to them because I didn't know their relationship. So I just kind of assumed he was some cheating, terrible man, like normal. So we never talked again or anything. And then I actually met Stephen at work like months later. And he kind of explained their relationship and stuff. And then I came over and we started hanging out. And then I guess after 2 months, we decided that we were kind of serious and we started dating.
Okay. So you find out that he's in a fully emotional relationship with another woman. And what's your immediate reaction? At
first it was kind of like, oh, this is fun. Let's just see what it is. I'm like, should I go hang out with them? Just kind of oh, it'll be an experience. What's it going to be like? So it's just kind of like, oh, like I'll just go hang out with them. I never saw it being long term, if we're being honest. I was like, oh, this could just be a fun experience, you know? And then as I started to hang out with them and like them, like it just slowly, I was like, oh shoot, what am I doing? And then it got more serious. And like he said, like the longer we started hanging out, you don't really even think like, oh, this is weird. It's just kind of like, we're all hanging out, we're all dating. Like it becomes so normal. So after like the initial, like, oh, this is going to be fun. Like it just becomes so normal.
And now, had you guys been seeking a third person to join your relationship, or did you just fall in love and you decided like to bring her in?
I mean, that's
I saw that look. Like, did you fall in love with me right away?
that's a question that we always get on our social media, on our YouTube channel and whatnot. Is like, how do you find your third? And we did a video about that. But it's like, even just that question, obviously you're not asking it that way. But people ask us that, like, how do you find it? Like, it's like, it just sounds like predatory. So like, I don't know, there's no way, we've never were seeking anything. Like even with our relationship, it's like, that just happened naturally. And then this just happened supernaturally too. I mean, obviously we knew that.
I think it's like, oh, how does it start? It's like, I was never the one to go and search for someone per se, or like, you know, when you go to like a bar or something and you're open to like bringing someone into your life, right? Steven has always been the one who like took that like flirting kind of role. He's way better at it than I am. And so he's the one who has always introduced the other female sort of in our relationship. I don't know if that's how it goes for other, you know, thruples or in other polyamorous relationships, but for us, he's the more like outgoing, flirtatious person, and he knew what I was looking for in someone, you know, so it was easy to be like, he kind of goes and like vets them. It's like, okay, I think Pre's gonna like this one, you know. But I mean, that's a weird way to put it, but like it starts naturally. It's like he was at work, he saw someone, she was cute, you know, or, you know, it's like, and it was funny with Danny because we had seen her at the store she worked at before. And it's like, did you see that girl? She's so pretty. Da, da, da. And then like coincidentally, almost a year after, they ended up working at the same location. And he came home. He's like, you're not going to believe it. The girl from that store was here. And I'm like, are you serious? And then it just went from there.
It all just really happens naturally. And when people ask us how it happens, I know they don't like that answer because it's like, oh yeah, natural. Like, what does that mean? But it's like, we're never like seeking like, all right, baby, we're single again. We got to go. How are we going to track one down? It's like, it literally is just, I meet a girl like I normally would. Oh, they're cool. I like them. And we joke about it that way, that it's like, I'm like the first interview. It's like, okay, you passed, you can move on to the second interview. But it's like, yeah, it's literally super smooth.
Okay, but is it only women that are allowed to join? And like, could a man join the relationship at some point?
No, I mean, nobody's joining the relationship at some point. This is it. But
okay.
No one's joining the relationship now, but a man just wouldn't work because Pre is bi. So it's like naturally they could bring another girl because she's open to men and women, but Steven is definitely not bi. So bringing a man into the relationship just wouldn't work physically, sexually.
In our relationship,
yeah, in ours,
like polyamory can go, you know, different people can be bi both ways, you know, they could be open to more things, but in our personal relationship right now, it's like, we're closed. It's like, there's no one else allowed in right now. But we wouldn't open it to another man. Yeah.
Or another woman. I mean, this is it. Yeah. But yeah.
I feel like my husband couldn't handle another woman because I'm so demanding. How do you handle two ladies? How do you fulfill both the ladies?
He's holding on by a thread.
No. I mean, well, sexually, yeah, it's tiring, but I don't know. It's really, I don't think it's any.
I think to answer that question, we are two very different women. Mm-hmm. And sexually too, we're very different from one another. And we have very busy schedules. So it's like we make the time when we can to be like the three of us, you know, spend time together. They actually get mad at me because I'm usually running around in 3 different locations. And, you know, right at the moment, they end up spending more time together. And then the small things that we may get upset with, or it's like, oh my God, you just went out with her or something like that. Or we want some alone time. Like I want some alone time with Danny. Sometimes we always like, we need girls time, like without Steven, or I want alone time with Steven, or vice versa. We just verbalize it. You know, you talk about, you communicate, and you have to say, just in a regular relationship, you communicate what you're not okay with and what you're okay with. And that only makes things easier, you know.
To answer the question of how do I deal with 2 women, it's that even when we were monogamous, it's like I don't feel, if I feel like I have to deal with you, then you're automatically not going to be in my life. So it's like, and only if you add and just vibe smoothly with my plan and my mission, then it's like, yeah, so that just works both ways.
Did you, Steven, always feel like this was your path to have a relationship with 2 women at the same time? Like,
not.
Is this who you were before, like in high school? What were you just quite literally a ladies' man? Like, how did this develop?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as far as having 2 long-term partners at the same time, I didn't even envision myself with one. So, I mean, I guess what you mean by ladies' man is like just like promiscuous and just like kind of the player kind of vibe. I guess that's what it was. But I wasn't like a player like how most guys are, where it's like they're just running game on girls and lying and cheating. It's like I just didn't ever commit myself to somebody, but I'm just totally open and like when I met Pri, for example, like I was probably seeing like 5 different girls on a regular basis, and some of them were her friends, coincidentally. So when we met, it's like it's never a secret, it's never anything funny or weird. It's like, you know, just like cool, we meet and we vibe, so we hang out, and then once we started making a connection more seriously. I'm just open about that, like how I feel. But I always make it clear, like, I have no intention of settling down and like not living my life however I intend to. And that's kind of how it's been, since my whole life. And then Pri just merged in with that, like, because she was kind of cool with that dynamic. And it's just like, okay, this is who he is. I'm accepting him this way. I'm enjoying my time with him, whatnot. We're having fun. And it's like, maybe another girl wouldn't be like, oh no, it's just me or nobody, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But, Pri was like kind of cool with that. And then naturally through that, I'm like, oh no, like she's great. Like I do want to be with her and take her more serious. And then, and then this just happened. Like none of us ever heard of polyamory or knew this was a thing before. I think like the extent of it was like, that show Sister Wives. I've heard of it. I've never seen it, but doubt like we even know this existed. Couples that reach out to us and tell us, wow, like you're so inspiring. We're polyamorous, but we're not able to be so, forthcoming about it and whatnot because of how society looks at it. So I started looking into it, and I knew like in history in different places, there would be polygamous or polyamorous. I guess it was polygamous back then, or really it was polygyny, like one man, multiple women. And I was looking into that and thinking, especially into the history in other societies, because people always, when you see a throuple, it's usually one man and multiple women. It's very, very rarely a one woman and multiple men. So I was looking into the history and different cultures to see why that occurs and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely not as weird. It's definitely not a brand new thing. It's definitely been around and still is happening other places, just in the shadows. Like
in a lot of traditional monogamous relationships, the man has some roles, the woman has some roles. Do you guys feel like you have any sort of normal breakdown of chores or household things that need to get done, where like how does the actual living go? I guess I should say. What does the daily life look like?
I don't live with them. So yeah, they live together and I live at home. I sleep here most of the time though. So I always try to help out and stuff. But as far as chores, it's regular man woman chores. He does the garbage, walks the dog, she does dishes and stuff. And then when I'm there, I just help out.
Yeah, we've only just passed a year with Danny. Me and Pri this is actually the first time we actually lived together. And this is like almost 4 years together. So Danny sleeps here literally like at least 5 or 6 nights out of the week. But yeah.
And now are you guys all in one bed?
Yeah. And it's a queen size bed. So it's kind of
it's awful. And we have a dog.
Yeah.
Lots of love going on in there. How do like date nights work? And you kind of mentioned a little bit, like you have to communicate when you want a little bit of alone time with the other people in the relationship. But what does date night look like? Do you divide and say like Mondays and Wednesdays with one person and anything like that? Or are you
not at all?
What does that look like?
When we've seen other polyamorous people, like we've seen like weird videos on YouTube, like not to like call them out, but say we've seen people like, oh, this is polyamory and this is my Hinge partner and this like, and we have a spreadsheet. It's like, what the hell? That's weird. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's like we literally it's just like a monogamous thing. If I have a plan for something, hey, we're doing this. Okay, cool. I don't want to, or oh, I'm busy, and then we'll just go. Or like with brunch today. But yeah, if there's a time where it's like somebody is needing some extra attention, put it in our group chat or just say, let's do this. Just you and me. Always do that.
Or it's like, I don't know, Danny will have something with her family. And it's like, Steven and I don't want to go, or, it's something more just family. And it's like, okay, so we're going to take the opportunity that this person is already doing something. And then we're going to go over here, and have our alone time then. Like, I'm usually the one that's been working the most lately. So it's like, they'll have their alone time and then like, okay, guys, I'm off on this day. And then we'll have something planned, the three of us, to do that day. But it's nothing really like, oh my God, we got to schedule something, or like the Mondays are mine and Tuesdays are yours. It just would never work like that, because our schedules are constantly changing. It's really natural. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Or sometimes we're like, oh, you guys are together, so do this, or, it's very, very natural. Like,
I think the whole scheduling thing and that whole like dividing time and whatnot. I don't really see that in reality. I see people talk about it like in videos, but like I don't know anybody that actually does it that way. And I think that would fall under more like the polygamous thing, where the guy has like separate households of wives and whatnot, and then it needs to be divided. But it's more like we're just like one family.
It's kind of just like if you have kids and the kids are busy. So it's like, oh, I'll do it with this. Like if Steven's at work, then we'll be like, oh, let's have a girls' night. Let's have ice cream and stuff. But we're not scheduling like time Steven needs to leave. It's like, we know he's gone. So then we'll like schedule something just the girls.
Or we're not taking Steven to Target. So he'll stay home and we'll go to Target.
Yeah. As far as the gender roles, that's exactly what it is.
Like even tomorrow, we're going to see a scary movie, and Pre hates scary movies. So it's like we automatically know like, okay, me and Steven are going to the movies. But we never plan something if we all have off that like one of us isn't doing it. If we all have off, we're going to all go.
Also, things are a little wonky right now because of COVID. Like COVID hit us hard. So like we're all working crazy hours, like at any job, like picking up weird stuff. Danny started walking dogs, and like we just want to make money right now and get out of debt and handle our stuff.
I really appreciate the honesty. I think a lot of people live sort of double lives in relationships, right? And they're cheating the whole time, and maybe they could have avoided a lot of heartbreak and lies if they were just honest in who they were and what they wanted emotionally, sexually, in a partner. So I always appreciate honesty. I always admire people that live their truth. I think that's a great quality. What did your family think when you told them about your lifestyle? I see a smile from you. How did that go?
Mine was actually great. My family, like my parents are kind of young still. They're still 40, and they were super okay with it. My dad still thinks it's a phase. So if he is going in 2 years, then he'll like probably freak out. But like meeting them, my parents love them and stuff. So they just try to take it as meeting them individually instead of poly. But my whole family actually gets along with it great. And of course, when you tell like my uncles and stuff, they're like, oh, that's so cool. He's so lucky. But normally my family actually handled it really well. So I was super lucky.
My family also, we've never like had, you've actually had in-depth conversations with them about it. We've never really talked about it, but me and Danny are similar in the sense that we're like both, I want to say the black sheep of our family, but we've both been the kid that's like, yeah, no, he's crazy. They're crazy. They're going to do whatever they want.
Just kind of expect something.
So like, it wasn't anything weird.
For me, it was, our first polyamorous relationship, I never told my parents about, but they found out in the worst way possible when we ended our relationship. The mother of the girl we were dating went to my parents' house and showed like explicit pictures. It was the worst time of my life. But yeah, I don't recommend waiting that long ever to tell your family. Just say it. And I think that's the hard part of like, I think a lot of people who are bi or just part of the LGBT community, they have a hard time coming out to family because, you know, my parents, I'm an only child, so I'm really close to them. So I'm very, I think, fortunate that we were able to bring back our relationship, but it took a while. It took months of not even speaking to like my father, you know, to then slowly talk to him again and be able to even speak about it. And some people don't have that, you know, some people aren't that fortunate. Some people come out and they basically lose their families, you know, I know about that. So it's hard. I think it made it harder on me because I wasn't honest from the beginning with them. When people ask me why, and it's like, I don't know, I didn't know that it would even last that long. And then it's like, why would I upset my parents if it wasn't going to be something forever, you know, or maybe it would be a phase. Like, I didn't know, like when we started talking to, you know, other women, I was experimenting my sexuality and seeing who I truly was. So yeah, I don't recommend hiding it that long.
When you talk about, if you guys are okay with talking about your actual intimacy moments, how do you have sex? Are you guys always together, or how does that work? Share whatever you feel comfortable sharing, but like you guys all share a bed together. A lot of people would say that, Stephen, you're getting kind of the best of both worlds because you get two ladies. But how do you work it out when you're in bed? Or is it a threesome every night? Is it? No,
absolutely not. That would be way too much energy for everybody.
That's what I was thinking in my mind. I'm like, that's just a lot of work for everybody. And not like every night you would have a threesome, but when you do have sex, is it a threesome always?
No, barely ever, actually. I mean, it's kind of weird because we met during the pandemic. So our normal lives we completely lost our normal routine. So everything's messed up. But because of this year and whatnot, it's because our schedules are so opposite. Yeah, it's like we pretty much I'm getting home by the time Pre's leaving for work and then vice versa. So yeah, it's usually just one-on-one and we squeeze it in when we can.
Okay.
As far as like threesomes, like I'm bi, right? Fully accepted. Danny wasn't. So obviously we've had threesomes. And we'll have them like special occasions probably. Sometimes me and Danny want to be cute and like, you know, do matching or something like that.
Are matching now. Yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're wearing this one. I have it. Let me put it on.
So we'll do cute stuff like that. But on a regular basis, it's like, we don't.
No. I am not actually bi. Like, we're just kind of discovering it. So like Priest fully is accepted. You know, I'm sure they would probably have a threesome with someone else in the future. But I'm not like, I mean, we had threesomes because we're all together and like on a friendship level, I love Pri, but sexually, like we had fun together sometimes doing those things all together, but I wouldn't be with a woman, just like one-on-one probably.
Okay. That's interesting. But you're totally, so Stephen, you're sometimes alone, sometimes, and the girls aren't necessarily together all the time sexually, but you can kind of, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to ask is when you come home and they're both sitting there, are you like, ladies, let's go together, or you choose one, or you say one's tired, or like paint a picture of that?
Well, like,
I mean, me and Danny are a lot.
They're way more sexual than
it's
I
like
am.
Pri said, like we're two different women. So she kind of gets like, I am more sexual than her. So it's normally, me and Stephen have a lot more intercourse than him and Pri, just because like Pri's not as sexual. So normally me and Stephen will have a lot more sex, but like, it's just kind of like, he'll look at us and he'll make that joke and I'll be like, I'm tired, you take them. And like, we'll joke about it like that. Like,
I'm sure there's a lot of like tired housewives that are going to hear this, maybe myself included, that kind of would want somebody else to handle the man for a second.
We're always kidding too, like when we say it, but then that's kind of serious. We'll be like, no, you take him, we're tired. But then we're kind of looking at each other like, oh no, there's a hint of seriousness. We're actually tired.
I think also it's like, bringing it back to the scheduling thing, it's like, we really don't lately, especially like I'll see them like not even a half hour, an hour maybe at a day's time. And it's like, It's like even the other day, Steven and I were, finally on the couch, and it's like, sex? It's like, yes, it's been like 2 weeks,
I'm interested to see what's going to happen when life kind of gets back to normal. Because it's like you just said, what happens when you come home and they're both there? That never happens with this scheduling right now. So it's not really a problem.
Right.
But we'll see.
What do you feel like some common misconceptions are about your lifestyle?
Biggest one that, all right, well, yeah, but definitely that's all about sex and it's just crazy all the time. Like, but the biggest thing is like just the weird stuff people say, like people multiple times, usually it's Supreme because I don't think anybody would disrespect me that way, but like people would reach out to her and it's like, oh, you're poly? That means you have threesomes? Oh, great. My boyfriend wants to have a threesome. Fucking so? What does that do with anything? Like they just think that just means everything's a free for all, or even just like the whole thing with like, oh, like, are you looking for another person? Could we join you? No, we're a closed. You want to ask a random couple if you could fuck with them or one of the other. Why are you asking us? Like,
Right. Okay, that is a funny common misconception, but I could see how that would get a little annoying after a while. Like. Stop trying to fuck me and my girls all the time. Yeah.
It's just common sense. It's like, what the fuck? Why are you asking me that question? Like they literally asked me like, oh, it's my boyfriend's dream to have a threesome. It's like, okay, go have a threesome. Allow someone in your relation. So I like, do you want to have a threesome with us? It's like, no, I barely have a threesome in my own relationship. Like, why am I going to have it with you?
Well, also too, like, I mean, I guess it's the same thing. Like when they say like, oh, is it flirting or sexual harassment? It depends on how attractive the guy is. It's like, we have had a time, well, probably a few times where like, and it was sweet. Like I got a message from this girl and she's like, hey, I have a question. I don't want to be too forward. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Say, I would be honored if you and Pre can be my first threesome. So she asked so respectfully that I'm like, oh, okay, let's do it. But yeah, normally it happened, but like normally it's in a weird way.
So if you ask nicely, ladies,
no,
you can get.
No, that was when Steven and I it was just the two of us.
That's another thing, like, they were always open and we tried it when I started dating that, we were still going to be open. And we did try it, but it didn't work out. So we are closed now. So no more craziness.
Yeah. Before when it was just me and Pre, obviously I'm seeing other women because that's how else would we, it's like we're dating basically, but it's obviously two people going to date somebody is kind of weird. That's not how society is set up. But when it was just us or even in previous relationships we've had, it was always like, okay, now this is our relationship and we'll still go have fun. And then it was kind of like we were open to possibly having the family grow even more. But I feel like now, like that we've been in this so long, it's like 3 is the magic number and that's what it'll stay.
And are there any jealousy issues that arise? It doesn't seem like it, but is there anything that like between the ladies or Steven, do you get jealous of their bond? Do you guys get any funky feelings?
I think all the time, actually, but not in like an angry way. It's like Pre said, like if we are feeling some kind of way, then we just speak about it because it's like any relationship, you're always going to get jealous. So sometimes if they did something without me, I'll be like, oh, why'd you guys do that? And I'll feel some type of way, but it's just talking about it. It's maybe like a 5-minute thing. We talk about it and it's over with. What do you mean?
I can't think of a single instance
like,
where you guys
even
get
if
jealous.
we go somewhere, it's not huge, but we'll talk about it. Like when we went to Target the other day, and Pre's like, I asked you to go to Target for a week. Like, and she tells you, and then,
I guess little things like, I guess.
Yeah, like super little things, but it's just explaining it like, oh, I'd like to do that too. Like, don't go without me,
Do you think there are benefits to being in a throuple that monogamous couples don't have? Like, what are the benefits?
I mean, just right off the bat, just, from a bit like a financial standpoint, it's like if you have like a broke guy and a crazy girl together, they're not a power couple. They're just hindering each other's lives even more. But if you have two powerful people coming together, it's not just 1 + 1. It's like multiplication. You can get way more done. So when you have 3 people like that, it's like, yeah, obviously it's exponential growth from like a stability and you have 3 people working towards one goal together as opposed to 2 or 1 person alone. But other than like the bare numbers of it, I don't know what else. I guess like too, like you don't need outside counsel. Well, yeah, that's more like having people get things done.
Yeah, but it's like there's always the people like sometimes if we're tired, we're like, oh, you already cooked. you know? So it's like, there's always someone else around to help you out and stuff. And you're never bored. Like, I always hate being by myself and stuff. And it's like, oh, there's always another person there for you, you know?
Oh, one definitely big benefit for me that I get from both of them is like, if one of them disagrees with something that I say, it's like, I'll normally, like, if I'm set on an idea and I know it's good, it's like, if you say no, okay, you're just wrong. But if both of them say it, then it's like, okay, maybe like I need to reconsider a little bit more. So we have extra counsel, or if I'm mad at Pri, I talk to Danny about it, or vice versa.
I think, in my opinion, it's like bringing it to the sexual aspect of it. He's always satisfied, because even like if I'm not a sexual person, Danny might be open to something that I'm not, as far as like a sexual fantasy, just for example, or I'm open to something and she's not. And I feel like if you're comparing it to a monogamous relationship, people often go out and cheat to try and satisfy that fantasy or that need or something. And I don't think we'll ever even think of that, because we're always satisfied within our throuple, you know?
And where do you guys see like kids in your future? Do you see like, what's the future?
COVID set everybody back, and especially us. And then even outside of COVID, 2020 was a rough year for us. It actually started really great, and then COVID it lasted so long, it set all our plans back. But so we've just been talking about that a lot recently, because this year we're working like slaves to get back on track. And then by 2022, we want to go and just travel the whole, we travel a lot. If you looked at our vlogs, whatever, we have a travel vlog, but we want to just go, not set foot back in the United States for at least like 2 years straight, and then have kids. And the way we want to do that is both at the same time. Probably it would make more sense to have like one pregnant, and then, it's two people to still care and do whatever we need to do. But like, it'll just be cool to have.
I think we'll cross that hurdle when we get there. We obviously want kids, and we speak about it, but obviously we don't know the logistics of it the same way we didn't know how even our relationship would work, because we live it day by day. I'm a lot older than Danny, so like I want kids like now. Like I went, like my birthday came along, and I'm still super young, but I went to go see my guy, and I'm like, should I freeze my ex? Like I don't want to have kids now. The world's kind of crazy, COVID and all of this, and it's like I'm not ready to have kids now, but I don't want that ship to sail, because for women it is a lot harder than men. But we still have the plan of traveling. I want to travel, and it's not that kids stop you, but they definitely make it a lot harder to just freely go anywhere. But yeah, that
was Danny's concern too. It's just like she's got more time on kids, and we do want a big family, which is why I think I naturally gravitated towards poly. But we all do want to do a lot of traveling together before we do that. So we thought the only way that would make sense is, and especially to avoid jealousy, because things can change then, is to carry children at the same time. But you were concerned about the kid thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was concerned because they're so much older than me, so it's like they definitely want
Not
kids sooner. Hey, it makes a difference,
Well, okay, what is the age difference? What is it? How old are you?
21.
21, 26, 27.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just, it's not that much, but in like this age gap, it's like I'm 21, so I'm just starting to go to a bar and have fun, where they've done that. So now it's like in the next year or two, they're looking to have kids, where I'm like, I still have 4 or 5 years,
Right. Well, I will say from a mom's perspective, having an extra mom to help with the kids stuff is like, oh my God, it's such a dreamy thought for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed my calling, and I should have been in a polyamorous relationship, because this is sounding pretty solid for me right now. Okay. One more question, unless my sister has more, but what do you want people to know about you?
You can't ask us to have a threesome. No.
Got that. Yes.
It really is. It's so like much love in this relationship, and people kind of think like, oh, Stephen, how do you convince them to do it? It's like, if me and Pri didn't want to be in this relationship, there's no convincing your partner. Like, it's just something that we gravitated towards. I hung out with them, and it really came so naturally. It's not something that's really that crazy. It's just, you meet someone and you both get along with them, and you're like, what's the limit? Like, why can't we have a third person in our relationship? It's nothing really crazy like you really think it is. It's just loving one more person.
Yeah, I would say it's not even something that I want people to know about us, because care less if people know of us or us at all. But what I would say, if they're exposed to us, I would like everybody to check their preconceived notions of everything, because it's like they get the judgment of like, oh, they're whores, they're pick-me's, like they're manipulated, they're stupid. And then I get the stuff like, oh, he must be narcissistic, he's cocky, he's an asshole. It's like, bro, like, you're poly and you don't even know it. Like, your husband's fucking his secretary and everybody else, and like your girl, like, where was she last night, dude? She's probably at our house. Like, they have
Not at our house.
they have no idea what's going on. It's like, we have our tagline for like our vlogs and whatnot and our clothing is, there are no rules to love. And there's not. Like, just like life, there's no rules. Live it however you want, do whatever you want. As long as you have integrity and you're not lying to people and you're being upfront with people, you can't do anything wrong.
I think that's the ultimate thing. I think is, like, from us, who cares what, great, we're a poly relationship, it's something different. Maybe look into us to just see how open you could be and maybe to open your mind a little bit. But it's all, I think the biggest thing is just don't judge someone. It's the same thing as like, oh, don't judge a book by its cover. It's like, no, we're not all about sex and it's a crazy lifestyle. It's actually very normal. There's a lot of respect. There's, I think that's just tying it back to the LGBT. If people looked at people with a little more respect, with a little bit of an open mind, there would be so much less hate and people would feel so much more comfortable in their own skin. So it's just that, it's like the openness. It's don't judge anyone. Like, who are you,
Right. Agree. Totally agree. You guys are so open. And actually, I have to say, I did have some preconceived notions, because I don't know anybody who's in a throuple or polyamorous that like is open about it, right? Like, people might be, but they're lying and they're just, being a cheater behind closed doors. But I've always really been intrigued by alternative relationship styles, because who's to say that it should just be a man and a woman? I mean, if you look at the history, it hasn't always been like that. I think people should do what they want and be free to love who they want and have whatever kind of sexual experience they want, as long as everybody's willing and there's nobody being taken advantage of, but it sounds like you guys are happy.
Yes, there's so much benefit behind figuring out, like, not just how the throuple works, but why. Like, how am I seeing it as a man, and how are you seeing it as a woman, and how are you seeing it as a person coming into it, to understand those philosophies that will liberate a lot of people in the programming that they got from society. We could go on a tangent about why we're monogamous today and what happens, but it's not really, it's not beneficial for the individual. It's beneficial for society and different people. One of the ways and reasons our program that way is because, like, the girls don't like it when I break it down, because I like to get to the root of everything. Like, what's the fundamental part of this, and then how does the building blocks work into today's society? But we are animals at the end of the day. I mean, regardless of what God you believe in or whatever, at the end of the day, we're a human animal. And if you look at the animal kingdom, if you look at anything else, it's like most animals don't pair bond. Like, it's the head lion fucks all the lionesses. Whatever is the dominant alpha animal has all the women. So it's like, some guys are thinking like, oh yeah, I want to be poly, but it's like, yeah, you want to be poly to have more sex because you don't even have enough now. It's like, if we accepted poly as norm, there's going to be far less women. It would be better for women because women outnumber men. So even if everybody did pair off, there's a whole huge amount of women that are going to die alone, there's also going to be a lot less. If it was acceptable for men to have multiple women, it's not like everything would be looser and more men would have partners. The same guys that are losing now in society are going to the deficit is going to increase, because then the winning men that this does work for are going to have even more women, and they're going to become more powerful. And then it's like, just like we're going down to she doesn't like it because he thinks it's like this animalistic caveman thinking, but it's like, we are programmed in our DNA to approach life in a certain way. It's like, even jealousy. It's like, jealousy is not something that was programmed into us. It's like, you have this innate, feeling to like protect your partner or whatever. It's like, but but yeah, I think one of the ways that we're programmed through society is to have monogamy is to basically not disturb the powers that be, because more people coming together and having their little tribes where they're going to be more powerful, it's not going to be good for society. And then also there's less women for like the simp men and like the weaker men that only win by having this power distribution within like the economy and whatnot.
Do you feel the same way about a woman being with two men? Or do you feel like it really only works with a man and multiple women?
I agree, and all of us do agree that anybody can do whatever they want to do. If a woman wants to have 5 husbands, go ahead. That's just you're never going to see that. Like if you do research, you guys said that in other societies and whatnot, there's different, relationship dynamics and stuff. There's almost no polyandrous societies. And when there is, it's usually 2 brothers sharing a wife. And I'm not even sure, I didn't get deep into why that happens, but there's almost nowhere where you have 2 random men and a woman bring them together. Because one, it's not in a male's nature, and it's also not in a female's nature. Like a female's DNA, their animalistic impulses are saying, find an alpha male, find, one strong male that can protect me, has good genes, and my DNA is gonna live on. And a man's DNA is saying, spread your seed, so you're like, what benefit would there be for a woman to have multiple men? You can argue that it's like, oh, well, men typically make more money, so there's going to be more money in the household. But physically, it's more dangerous because a woman contracts STDs way easier than a man. So if a woman is out here, even if I go and sleep with 100 girls today, they get all of an STD, I probably won't get it, so I won't give it to them. If they're out here sleeping with men, they're eventually going to contract it, and then we're sleeping together full time, I'm going to contract it, So that's one thing. But then also too, it's like the whole baby thing. Women want to have babies and they can only do it to a certain time. How many men can a woman give babies to? It's like, I have to have one and I have to wait my turn. It's like, I just want to make sense for big families. It just doesn't make sense on any way that you're looking at it, I don't think. But if you have another opinion on it, or if you guys do too, I would love to hear it.
I have the opinion, like Steven thinks of this and he thinks of the facts and stuff. But when I came in, it was just, I fell in love with 2 people. So I think for a girl, yes, statistically, like it doesn't make sense because you can't get pregnant by 2 men. Like, as much as like he's saying, it's like you have 1 baby, you carry that man's 1 baby, then you have to wait another year to have it. So it doesn't really make the most sense. But in a love aspect, it's like you can fall in love with 2 men and a man could be bi, and that could be the perfect thing. So statistically, like it doesn't make as much sense as having multiple women. But I think in a love aspect, I actually saw it on Snapchat, and it does happen. And it could definitely happen. And it's just, maybe it doesn't always make the most sense. Like if me and Pri were just together, lesbians don't make sense. We can't have a baby together, but it's just love is love, So even if it doesn't always work out symmetrically,
yeah,
when
absolutely.
you love someone.
I think if anybody feels that way, they should definitely do whatever. It could be 5 guys in a polyamorous relationship. Obviously, there's no kids there. Remember? Yeah, there could be that way, and there's never going to be a kid born. And obviously, it's not congruent with what our DNA says. But do whatever you want to do. There's nothing wrong as long as there's transparency. But our feelings are born from a certain place. They don't just come out of nowhere. Our feelings are formed from our philosophies on life. And hopefully we think logically about things, or we at least have factual information, not just pull things out of our ass. So we wouldn't naturally feel those inclinations, I don't think.
Again, we always say, do whatever makes you truly happy, unless, you're, as long as it's consensual and you're not a fucking pedophile or, doing some crazy stuff like that. If it makes you truly happy and you're not being disrespectful or rude to anyone else, then do what makes you truly happy. For us, we have our own dynamic, but the next poly couple that you talk to probably has an entire different dynamic that works for them. I
just want to say one thing on that is for anybody that's listening, and you too, I don't want you to judge me, but you can if you want, that's fine. But I don't want anybody to think, especially because of the words that I use, or like, oh, alpha male and winning and stuff like that. It's like I'm trying to use words that we all know the meaning of, and we all have the greater narrative in society to understand. But I completely agree with that. If 5 gay people or women or males or trannies, whatever, want to be in a relationship and adopt 1,000 kids or do whatever you want to do. I absolutely have no ill will towards anybody, and I do. No rules to love is what we stand by, because we want everybody to explore their personal truth. There's no one way to live life. And even our buddy that we're going to do the podcast with, that's hosting for us, we were having this conversation. We got into it for hours, and he's a guy, obviously, and he's fully fine with if he wants his girl to, he's fine. If his girlfriend wants to have another boyfriend, he's cool with that. And I don't judge him. I don't people call me a cuck because, oh, your girl's fucking another girl. Like, somebody could definitely call him a cuck. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you're cool with that, live it.
Wait, sorry, what was that word?
Oh,
A
God.
cuck?
Cuck?
Cuckold?
I don't know that word.
You never heard cuckold porn before?
Please stop.
No. Is this like East Coast slang or what is this?
I don't think so.
It's like a porn category for men that don't have sex and watch.
It's like, it's like a white guy that wants his wife to get fucked by the BBC and he just watches. Like, I don't know what, it's just the shame kind of degrading thing.
C-K, like cuck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I saying a bad word? Like, I've never heard the word before. It's so funny. Yeah, totally, guys. I mean, I agree. People should live how they want to live. I support individuality, freedom, and that love is love. And like you said, of course, unless it's with an innocent person or a fucking disgusting pedophile, obviously you got to draw the line somewhere. You guys are adults. We're not talking about that. But I think this conversation is so interesting. And like I said, you're the first throuple I've ever talked to. So thank you for that. And thank you for allowing me to ask potentially annoying questions that you guys are sick of answering. But I promise this will fall on open-minded hands and ears and hearts and stuff when it goes live. And I think minimally people will be more accepting and hopefully their minds will be opened into thinking about things a little bit differently. That's the goal. But I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you for hanging out with me on a nice Sunday.
Thank you for accommodating us.
Yeah, it was so fun. It really was. I appreciate all the vulnerable, real moments.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.